If a picture is worth 1,000 words, this is one stunning picture.
1,000 words just in front. 1,000 words wins the Robert B. Lewis.
Honoree P is full out now, second on the outside, and they're coming down to the line, and 1,000 words has done it.
Dan Illman, Mike Beer kicking off the 50-cent Pick 4 at Belmont Park on Belmont Stakes Saturday with one of the better betting races on the card. It's the Grade 1 Manhattan, older horses going 1.25 miles on the inner turf. Our coverage is presented by our very good friends at Spendthrift Farm. Let's take a look at this field. Mike, this is a wide open race.
Yeah, I do think there are a lot of different horses can win here, Dan, and it's also the rare graded race on the turf where Chad Brown is well represented and doesn't have the horse to beat.
But he might have the horse to catch. We throw up the Timeform US pace projector for this race. Triduvan became sort of a different animal when they just allowed him to let his feet rattle in the early portion of his races last year. Now, they tried that last time out. It was his first race off the layoff. He got beat pretty easily by Santon. He and Channelmaker are likely going to be up close.
Yeah, it feels like the 7 and the 9. They're the two horses who are going to go forward in here. They both have plenty of speed, and they're both that, sort of rare distance turf horse who they just want to be in control of the pace from the start. The last time they squared off, it was Channelmaker who wanted the lead and got it. I wonder if it'll be the same this time.
But you've got other horses in this race with tactical speed. Lim Perratore has certainly showed it. Santon is a horse that likely is going to work out a good trip. He's got that tactical speed. And Highland Chief, we can't forget about him. He's been good.
Yeah, he comes off of a really, really strong win, does Highland Chief, in a Grade 1 race right here at Belmont Park. He's a horse who's very tactical.
Let's talk about Lim Perratore coming off a graded stakes win for Chad Brown. That was the Fort Marcy. It was his first start off of a short layoff. Boy, he bombed at Tampa Bay as the favorite 2 starts back. Didn't run well at all, but he really appreciated these forward tactics over a yielding turf course, and we see him sprinting home in the stretch.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he really handled the yielding turf course on this day. A couple of times previously, Dan, since he got over, they ran him on sort of similar courses, and he didn't seem like he relished it. He certainly did in this race. He was one of the few, I feel like, in this Fort Marcy who really liked it. He took advantage a little bit, also showed speed kind of out of nowhere in that race to wire the field. He won't make the front in here. This is a way tougher race for him. He's an okay horse. I thought he was hard to make.
This is his distance. He likes 1.25 miles a lot, but I agree with you. He's going to even have to take a step forward off the Fort Marcy. There is a chance of rain in the forecast, and it's good to know that at least he has that in his hip pocket, the ability to win over yielding going. I'm a big fan of Goofo. It seems like he shows up each and every time, and it seems like he's shown better tactical speed as he's gotten older. Now, Goofo last time out was beaten by Highland Chief. He tried to make his run early into the race. Highland Chief just fended him off, and that was a race where the favorite, Yabir, he missed the break. It was a big opportunity for Goofo.
It really was. That's actually a very good way to put it, and I don't think either of us are going to sit here and say that Goofo didn't run really well last time, Dan. I think he did run his race in there. Highland Chief was ahead of him the entire way, and at the end of the day, at least in my opinion, Highland Chief was just better than Goofo in the Man of War. We'll see if it's the case again on Saturday. There's really no way to knock this horse. He shows up and he runs every time. I'm with you. A little bit more tactical speed as time has gone on, and that's really served this horse really well. He's the morning line favorite. I guess he's the horse to beat.
Last year, Tokyo Gold invaded Belmont from overseas and ran a good second in the Belmont Derby. They then ran him back in the Jockey Club Derby, and he didn't run as well. He's now started once in France. I thought it was an okay third. Again, he shipped well. He ran well here. I just wish I liked the Belmont Derby more.
Yeah, I'm with you. Listen, I didn't love his 3-year-old form. He won the Italian Derby before they shipped him over here. Obviously not a major European race, but he did look good winning that day. I didn't necessarily care for either of his 2 starts over here as a 3-year-old, but he's supposed to mature and get better. It feels to me like he's going to have to get a lot better against this field.
I wonder if Adamo has sort of been waiting in the weeds for Chad Brown. There's been a lot of hype about this horse since he's come here. He's yet to live up to it in 2 starts. One race at the Fairgrounds where he just missed by a head. Last time out in the Turf Classic, the beaten favorite by Santon. But I think that this horse is going to get out to a distance that he appreciates. And if you give him some pace, I could see him charging late.
I think that's probably a good point, Dan. He did come over with pretty solid form for Chad Brown from France. I actually felt like his stateside debut, which came way back in February, I actually felt like he ran pretty well in that race. He just got way too far away in there, but I did like the way that he was finishing at the end of that start. I don't really know what to make about the Grade 1 trial last time. He wasn't terrible in there. I just didn't think that he ran that well in that race. Maybe more distance helps him.
I'm a big fan of the number 5 In Love, but I have to admit I'm a little surprised to see him in here. I don't know about the 1.25 miles for him, and his last race, the Maker's Mark, was not a good race. This jockey rides him very, very well. He
Yeah.
gives him good trips, it seems, in almost all of his races, including the win at Keeneland last year in the Keeneland Turf Mile, including the Breeders' Cup Mile where he ran an OK 7th, and including last time where he saved all the ground. The horse just didn't fire.
Yeah, that's how I looked at it too. I mean, I actually felt like his Breeders' Cup Mile last year, I actually feel like he ran deceptively well in there in a race where he didn't really have any chance at all, the way the race shaped up in front of him. Last time was a little more disappointing. There was a little cut in the ground there. He did have an awful lot of room on the rail through the stretch, and he just didn't kick that hard. Maybe he needed the race off the layoff, Dan. That is a race, that Maker's Mark Mile. That's a race where the also-rans out of that race have come back and run really well since.
Rock Emperor is up next, and I have to admit, Rock Emperor's lost me a little bit, but you still have to draw a line through his last race.
When did he ever have you? That would be my
Well, I
question.
don't know. He's shown a little bit of flashes of ability. I thought his Belmont Derby, his first race in North America,
right.
a long, long time ago, was very, very good.
All
But last time out in the Fort Marcy, he just didn't seem to handle that cut in the ground. I'm just going to draw a line through the 18 Beyer speed figure. He was second in this race 2 years ago, and he's a solid horse, just didn't win very often.
A little bit of an underachiever, I guess you would say, since he arrived in North America. He still runs some good races. He is a Grade 1 winner over here. I thought he looked good winning that race towards the end of last year. And then I thought he came back and ran okay at the Breeders' Cup. It wasn't a race that he was ever going to win, but he did get into a lot of trouble in the stretch of that race. Unfortunately for Rock Emperor, he came back and pulled his typical stuff in his final start of the year out at Del Mar, where he just had no excuse at a really short price. Let's just put a line through that last race, Dan. When was the last time you saw a horse run an 18 Beyer, get beat a million lengths, and have two horses finish behind him? I think he hated the course.
Yeah, I think a lot of horses hated the course that afternoon. Rock Emperor was second in this race in 2020. Tribhuvan was second in this race last year. He controlled the pace. Domestic Spending is a better horse than he is, and he ran over the top of Tribhuvan in the stretch. Tribhuvan then just took them gate to wire in the United Nations. That's become his new running style. I don't know, Mike. Can you argue he's a little bit dirtied up? In the Sword Dancer, he didn't make the lead. I don't think he liked being rated off of Channel Maker, and he didn't run very well. In the Breeders' Cup Turf, he just simply went too fast against better horses. And last time out off the layoff in the Turf Classic, I wish he stayed on a little bit better, but I think you can make the argument he needed the race.
Yeah, you can make that argument. Listen, if he's going to be some kind of big price in here, then I have no argument with trying to dress him up a little bit and just say there's a chance he gets back to his good race here. He makes the lead, and he's really, really tough to run down. I didn't like his last race. I know that the pace was against him at the Breeders' Cup, but it's not like he ran well that day. And I just, listen, I didn't like his Sword Dancer, and I'm not, sold on the UN from this horse. I know it's a Grade 1 race, but that's a name only.
It seems like it's been that way the last few years. You like the 8 Highland Chief a little bit in the Man of War, and heck, even a blind squirrel can find a nut once in a while. This horse had a deceptively tough trip at Aqueduct in his North American debut, and then last time out in the Man of War, he got right up close to the pace, he attacked at the right time, and he was very game in the stretch, as we see on our video replay.
Yeah, I think the bigger point about this horse as well, Dan, is that even though he missed a ton of time, this horse was actually a really good 3-year-old over in Europe over a distance of ground. He needed the race off the layoff, going a distance that's way too short for him. I don't know about you. I thought he won this race fair and square. Yes, Yabir is a horse that you could make a big excuse for in this race, and I thought he ran really well. But what's wrong with this performance from Highland Chief? He sat right up on the pace. The two big names came from around the final turn. He was never letting them catch him through the stretch. I thought it was a big-time effort.
Santon is up next, lightly raced for Godolphin, still has a lot of upside, and maybe the addition of blinkers was just what the doctor ordered for this horse last time out at Churchill Downs in the Turf Classic. He stayed up close to the pace. It looked like for a brief second that Tribhuvan was going to get away from him on the second turn, and then for a brief second, it looked like my favorite, Mirror Mission, was going to get it done. This horse showed a lot of guts. He was stuck between a rock and a hard place, and he got it done.
Yeah, I agree with all that stuff. I can't say that I liked him particularly going into that Turf Classic last time, but I do think that the blinkers might have made a difference. It certainly moved this horse forward, a triple-digit buyer now. He's probably going to be close up to the pace in this race. I'm still not sold on him, Dan. The 7-2 morning line doesn't interest me one bit, but I won't be surprised if he runs well again.
I'm expecting a great trip. Do you have a feeling one way or the other about his ability going 1.25 miles?
No, I don't think the distance is going to undo this horse. We're going to see how he handles. I think stepping up to face a much better field.
Channel Maker's banked about $3.5 million in his career. I do think at this point in his career he is better going slightly longer. I think at 1.5 miles might be his best game. But rumors of his demise were greatly exaggerated because Channel Maker can still step, as we see in the Elkhorn last time out. He stayed up close to the pace. He fired on home. He's always a danger. He's got speed, and I think he flies under the radar from a wagering standpoint.
I think you're probably right about all that stuff. It'll be interesting to see what Saez does early in this race. Are they intent on the lead here? Are they going to be comfortable to sit like they did last time in the Elk Run? I was a little surprised that they conceded the lead last time. At the end of the day, it didn't matter.
Before we take a look at our top selections for the Grade 1 Manhattan, just want to remind everybody, head on over to the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel, click that subscribe button, and you'll get all of DRFTV's latest video offerings. Top pick time in the Manhattan. You love Highland Chief.
I mean, listen, I like everything about this horse. I know that he was almost 20-1 when he pulled off the upset last time, but he's still 6-1 on the line in this race. I think that's a fair price.
I think that's a very fair price. I'm going to use him. I do wonder if last time was the time, but he ran very, very well. Our coverage, of course, presented by Spendthrift. We thank them for their sponsorship. I want the speed in here. I'm curious to see if Tribhuvan is good enough, but I think he can make the top for Chad. Maybe lull these to sleep, turning into the stretch. It's the Manhattan. It's Belmont Stakes Saturday. The excitement, you cut it with a knife. Hi everybody, Dan Illman asking you to give DRF.com a try on Belmont Stakes Week. Put yourself in position to win big on Belmont Stakes Saturday with the power of daily racing form. Visit shop.drf.com now and get everything you need for the Belmont Stakes, including past performances with exclusive buyer speed figures, expert picks, betting strategies, clocker reports, and lots more. It's all at shop.drf.com. That's shop.drf.com.